Hi lovely people, it's Candy here. Welcome back to my channel. I have been absent for a while because it's just crazy at this time of year in the house trying to get ready for Christmas. But I'm back today and I'm back with a tag to see if anybody wants to join in a tag. Now I have been watching all you lovely lot on YouTube and your favourite decks of the year. Musings by Masha, the lovely Masha, did a lovely tag which I am yet to respond to, which I'm going to respond to, which is what got me thinking about this tag, because looking at Masha's questions for all of the favourite decks in the different categories, I started sorting through my decks. First of all, it made me realise how totally I've failed at depth here and how many decks I've got. But I started sorting out those favourites, thinking, yeah, I'll do that deck for that category, that deck for this category. And when I'd sorted out what decks I wanted to include, it made me look at what was left on the shelf. I am very much a champion of the underdog, and when I saw the decks that was left, my heart went out to those decks. So I thought, why don't I do a tag about those decks that don't make it onto your favourites list, the decks that are in the shadows slightly, the underworld of decks, the bad dates of decks, the decks that are still there for a reason. I want to know about those reasons. I want to know about the cheapest deck that you found, or the deck that you brought thinking you would love and it's not what you expect, but there's something that keeps you pulled to it. So it's been a year of dating the tarot for me. It's been my first year in tarot, my first year corresponding with a worldwide pandemic and a lockdown and retail therapy, my first deck discovery year and retail therapy combined, the most ridiculous amount of decks on my shelf. I have very much dated the tarot this year. It has been my safe space, my encouragement, my anchor in this crazy 2020. And within that dating the tarot, there are some decks that are going to make it onto my most favourite lists, but there are many others, the underdogs, that I still have dated, and we're not breaking up anytime soon, and they deserve a list all of their own. So this is my tag, Dating the Tarot 2020, and they're for the underdog decks, and why you're not ready to break up with them yet. Tell me the darker secrets of your tarot decks of 2020. So the dates include the Cheapskate, the Slow Burner, the Blind Date, the Rebound Date, the Surprise Love Affair, the Not My Type Date, the Stormy On and Off Relationship Date, the I Might Delete Your Numbers Quite Soon Date, your Forever Love, let's throw the Forever Love in there, and do you have a Friends with Benefits deck? Let's find out. Okay, so here we go with our underdog dates of the tarot for 2020. And I'm going to start off with the Cheapskate Date. So the date that you paid the least money for in all of your decks. It can be a deck you bought in 2020 or just another one if you want to share, but something that was silly cheap, that you might have bought because it was cheap, but you were surprised by it even though it was a cheap date. And for me, this is a really recent acquisition. This I bought for my kids really to give me at Christmas, and I thought the kids might like having readings from it, but Tilly loves it. It's the Mythical Creatures Affirmations cards. It's a Spirit and Destiny deck, and I paid £2 for this little deck. It's got mythical creatures in. The backs all look like this. So you've got directions on there, you've got elements, so unicorns are earth, Fairies are air, dragons are fire, and mermaids are water. The artwork's quite bizarre, really. It's quite Disney, it's quite cartoony, but the messages are actually deeper than I was expecting, and I've really enjoyed pulling cards from this deck. Tilly loves it. The universe delivers in unexpected ways. I am grateful for my body moving it. It feels good. It is a very body beautiful deck. It's not very diverse, as you can see. So that's, you know, one thing about it. But the messages on there, the words are quite, they've got an edge to them. All the answers I need can be found within me. I am committed to my goal. I work towards them every day. In times of darkness, I go within. My inner light is always on. So yeah, it was just a cheap little buy that I have really, really enjoyed using more than I expected. Like today, I choose hope. My positivity lifts and motivates me. I am powerful, I am strong, nothing can break me. I have the power to change my life today. So that's the Mythical Creatures affirmation cards. It was my £2 deck. To be honest, I bought it. If it had been £5 or £6, I wouldn't have bought it. I bought it because it was cheap. I am surprised how much I like it. The very crude artwork I love. The childishness of it I love. So that is my Cheapskate Date. Right, the next date I'm taking you all on is the slow burner. The date that your initial reaction to it is okay, there could be something here, but over time you fall more and more in love. It takes its time. And for me, it is the US Games System Thoth deck, the large cards. Now, when I first opened the Thoth, I thought, oh yeah, I can see why people love this deck. Yeah, I can see it. But was it real love at first sight for me? No. I knew that I wanted to carry on working with it and developing my relationship. I knew it wasn't a one date deck. But for me, it's been a slow burner. The more I've studied, the more I've sat and shuffled, the more I've pulled cards, the more I've talked to this deck, the more I've just sat and soaked in the imagery, the more and more and more in love I have become. To the point now that this is a forever deck. This will never ever leave my collection, and I can firmly say now that we are dating properly. We are falling in love, but it took its time. It was a slow burner. I have to say the court cards weren't a slow burner. The court cards were immediate love. I completely adore the court cards, but the rest of the deck not so much so. But now these strange colours, the geometry within there, everything in this deck pulls me in and seduces me. So this is my slow burner date, the Thoth Tarot. Okay, what do we have next? Oh, the next is the blind date. So a date where you jumped in without even looking. You didn't seek out a walkthrough, and if you did, you didn't look at all the cards. You didn't even stop to think. You didn't know what you were getting into at all, and you just pulled the trigger. And for me, it's this one. The Star That Never Walks Around by Stella Bennett, a Native American tarot package. Now, this deck I saw a part of a walkthrough on Giselle's Mad Witch tarot channel. She was doing a walkthrough, and I had just announced that I was going into a depth year, and I was panicking. like when I announce I'm going on a diet and I eat all the cakes in the house, this was one of those decks. I didn't finish the walkthrough. I was panicking that I'd got lots of busy decks and that I would be left on a depth year without a calming, more spatial deck. And I saw the first 10 cards and I pulled the trigger, and then I switched off because I didn't want to see the whole of the walkthrough. I justified it in my head by saying I didn't have a round tarot deck, but to be honest, this was a complete impulse buy, and it is sat unused. I'm not sure what I think about it. I do like the simple drawing style. I do like the fact that the all the suits are named different things. We've got butterflies, we have got turtles. What else have we got? You can tell I haven't used it because I don't even know. We've got frogs. And what else have we got? The King of Frogs. Does that say Thunderbirds and Thunderbirds? Is that right? Yeah, Thunderbirds as well. So it's a deck that, it really was a blind date. It was a panic buy. It was a complete impulse buy. It was a let's not look at any photos first. Let's just jump in and buy. And it's sat unused. We're not ready to break up yet. I think I will enjoy this deck once I've got round to spending some time with it. So it isn't a date that I regret, but it is my most impulsive buy, and that's why it is my blind date deck. Okay, what have we got next? Next we are doing the rebound deck as my dogs now come into the room. So the rebound deck is the deck that keeps ending up in your to be rehomed pile, and then you keep pulling it back onto your shelf. It's the deck that there's something there that keeps you pulled in and going back for more. It keeps pulling you back. But there's something as well that is not off-putting, but it's not making it onto your favourites list. And for me, my rebound date is the Muse Tarot. Now, why do I keep coming back? Why aren't I pulling the trigger on getting rid of it? Well, first of all, look at it. It's absolutely beautiful. The colours of this deck are probably the nicest of any tarot deck I've got. That pink and turquoise is just divine. And all the way through, the colours are just gorgeous. It is a beautiful deck. You know, it's got octopuses in it for a start, and everybody knows that the octopus is one of my animal guides. So it's, on paper, it's got everything, but it's really thick. The cardstock I find so difficult to shuffle. I mean, it will shuffle, but it's stiff can be, and I drop it all the time. Every time I work with it, it ends up dropped on the floor. Also, I've realised I'm not a great fan of collage decks. It just is what it is, and I'm just not. But having said that, every time I get this deck out and look at it, I love the images on it. So I think really it's the fact I drop it all the time, and it's frustrating, and I do mean like all the time. In a reading, I'll drop the whole thing on the floor numerous times. It's really thick for my little hands to deal with. My daughter did play with it for a while, but then she gave it me back. But the reason I won't break up with it, even though it's my rebound date, is because it's so beautiful. and the colours are so spectacular. Oh, knocking the camera, sorry. But look at it, it is gorgeous. So it's not going anywhere yet, but it is the deck that has earned the space of Rebound Date. Right, the next date I'm taking you on is the Surprise Love Affair. The deck that you brought because you quite liked the look of it, but when it arrived and you started working with it, you fell totally and utterly and headlong in love with it, and it surprised you. And for me, it's this one, the Tarot of the Sweet Twilight. This is my first soul deck. It is by Christina Benintende. It is a Lo Scarabeo deck. See, I still can't say that. You can see, look, it's been so used, the box is all getting beat up. Now, I saw this on Facebook. Somebody posted about it on Facebook. And I just thought the colours, because I like purples and greens and sort of muted tones, the colours just looked really unusual. And I'm a sucker for the colours of a deck, as you've just found out from the Muse Tarot. So I ordered it thinking, well, let's just have a look at it. It looks interesting. You can see, look, it's all beat up around the edges. I've used this deck such a lot this year. For a whole month, it was the only deck I wanted to work with, and I've never really had that happen before. I haven't trimmed it just because I'm too scared. I have seen other people trimmed it, and it does look lovely trimmed. But this deck, I've absolutely fallen hook, line and sinker in love with this deck. It's just spectacular, I think. I love the readings I get from it. I find it really easy to read with. It always wants to talk with me. I think this deck loves me as much as I love it. I really do. It's one of those decks. Oh my gosh, look at, I haven't worked with it for a while because I've had so many other decks coming in. I have so failed at Depthia this year. It's ridiculous. I haven't filled anybody in on my Depthia progress because it's too embarrassing. But this deck, yeah, this is a beaut. So this is my Surprise Love Affair. I mean, look at that. Look at that for the Five of Pentacles. And it's about, the meaning behind this is about wealth can be lots of different things. Somebody might look poor for your standards, but they might have all the wealth they own. And for somebody that's lusted after van life all my life, just that card alone. And this, look, the Ten of Swords. I just, oh, I can't even. It's wonderful. So yeah, this is one of my all-time favourite cards. Look at that, the Nine of Cups. Oh, I love that. Of course, it's got the swan in there. I love it. I love, 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 love it. So this was my Surprise Love Affair deck, which was the Tarot of the Sweet Twilight. Okay, the next date I'm taking you on is, oh, it's not my type date. Now, this is the deck where you ordered it for a reason, but you didn't really think it was going to be your type of deck. But when it arrived, you're surprised that you can get past the fact that it's not your type and you still want to use it anyway. And for me, that's the Animal Wise Tarot by Ted Andrews. Now, I saw this deck online and I knew that the photography, some of the photography is just not really fantastic, to be honest. It looks like somebody's snapshot from their back window. And photography decks, I'm not sure I'm into photography decks either. I'm into sort of fantastical art, really. So I knew that this really wasn't my type of deck, but I love working with animal energy, and I love Ted Andrews' knowledge base when it comes to animal energy, and that's why I ordered it. So these are the backs. I think they're quite masculine backs as well, and I'm quite girly. And these are the cards, and you can see what I mean. You know, some of this photography, I mean, some of it you can hardly make out. So you've got four-leggeds, you've got winged ones in this deck. You've got the ancients. I mean, look at that. It's like very, very dark, isn't it? That, I mean, it's just crazy, really. And then you've also got the winged ones. Of course, I can't find the other deck. Then you have got the shapeshifters. But the way I fell in love with this deck, although it was not my type date, was when I started working with it and started doing readings with it, and realised just how talkative and beautiful to use this deck is. I've had some really profound readings with this. So it's the date you go on with somebody that doesn't really look like it should work. They're not your type, but you always have a bloody good time. Every time you go out, you'd laugh. This deck has made me laugh more than once. And you just have experiences with each other that you are just not going to forget, even though on surface level it's not your type at all. And my dogs and my kids are all going crazy in the background. Can you hear my daughter in my bedroom above me? That's her footsteps chomping across the floor, and now they're all running up and down the stairs. Oh dear. Anyway, so this is not my type deck, the Animal Wise Tarot by Ted Andrews. Okay, then we come to the really not sure about you. I might just delete your number date. So who's made it into my spot of the I may delete your number date? Okay, let's just put this away. Oh, that's my dogs barging in and out. Excuse the noise in the background. The Wisdom Seekers Tarot by David Fontana. Now, there is a walkthrough on my channel of this, of me completely falling apart trying to do a walkthrough and realising that I really, really didn't know what I'd ordered. There are the backs. This could have made it into my blind date deck, because this one I only saw the majors. I didn't realise it was pips. And when I started doing the walkthrough, I tried to make a connection between what I was seeing and the Rider-Waite meanings I was learning, and very soon came a cropper and realised that I absolutely didn't understand what I was talking about. It made me realise that this is a number-based pip deck that's more linked to Marseille, I would say, but I still haven't read anything about Marseille, so I might be talking complete rubbish yet again, which this deck makes me do. This deck makes me talk complete rubbish because it's completely out of my knowledge zone at the moment, and that's why we haven't broken up yet. We haven't broken up because I want to start learning the Marseille. I want to start really learning about numbers and the tarot, and this deck and the guidebook sets it out with a lot of info about the numbers and what the numbers mean, and reading the tarot just with the numbers. So this is why this deck is still, the phone number is still not deleted from my phone. I haven't deleted its number yet, because there is a place for it. However, this card is my most triggering card of any of my tarot decks, even worse than, is it the King of Pentacles in the Mary L? That card triggered me, but not like this card. The smugness of this man in this card, it makes me literally want to climb into the tarot card and punch him in the face. I can't bear this card. So whenever I see this deck in my tarot cupboard, an image of this card comes into my mind and I just think, shall I delete the number? Shall I get rid of it? But then I think about all these lovely colours and the kind of naive drawing style. I mean, look at that High Priestess. She's gorgeous. And the fact that I want to start learning Marseille, plus the fact the Queens have got unicorns on. I mean, hello. The princesses have all got their boobs out. So, you know, the Sun card is a bit, but kind of dodgy in a great way. Dodgy in a great way. Oh my God, we've all been on those dates, haven't we? You're dodgy in a great way. Not sure about you at all. Look at that King of Pentacles. He's so funny. Yeah, so this is why this deck, it made it into my, I might delete your number, because he makes me sound like an idiot. But it laughs at me, this deck. It mocks me. But can you see, look, the guidebook is set out literally as numbers. So let's just stick with it for a while. I got past my aversion for the Mary L trigger cards. So perhaps I can do it with this one when I start working with it. This will come into play when I start studying the Marseille, I'm sure. Okay, let's get to a successful date. Let's get to my forever love. So a tarot deck that is going to forever be on my favourites list. Oh, Emily Carding's Tarot of the She. This deck is so powerful. This deck, it's glossy. You can see every light that I've got on in the room. You can see I've got Christmas lights on and a ring light. Every light reflects in it. It's as glossy as anything. But I will forgive this deck anything. It could do anything on a date and I'd forgive it and go running back for more, because the artwork is everything. I've used this deck a lot in my first year of tarot. It's one of the key decks that made me realise just how powerful tarot can be. It also matches my bracelet. Look at that. Quite like that. Can you see I've got paint on my bracelet? It's because I'm decorating at the moment. I'm doing room makeovers for Christmas. This is why I've not been uploading many videos, because I've been up ladders painting. But look, you've got spirals, you've got sacred geometry in there, you've got landscapes, you've got keywords. I love a good keyword, me. You've got the devil as Pan. You've got my ex-boyfriend here lurking. Ugh. But see, I'm still not triggered, even though I know who that is. Look at the keywords alignment. You've got the most powerful artwork in the most glorious, glorious colours. You've got warriors. You've got dancers. You've also probably got the best tarot card that any tarot deck ever had. Where's the tarot card? Where are you, tarot card? I mean, look. It's just completely superb. I'll never break up with this deck. I love it. There it is. Look at that tarot card. If that tarot card doesn't epitomise everything that the tarot's about, then I don't know what would. So this is my forever love. This is the date that surprised you with the fact that you fell in love at first sight. It's marriage after 2 meals out. It's I'll forgive you anything. It's just divine. I love the Tarot of the She. So that's my forever deck. Oh, what else have we got? Oh, the on and off relationship. So the stormy relationship. The relationship where you date and it's passion and it's lust and it's desire, and then it's a fight and you break up and you don't phone each other for weeks. But then there's something about it, you can't stay away from each other. And then it all starts again, and it's a stormy on and off dating relationship. There's only one deck that's got that sort of passion in it. Come on, guys, it's the Mary L. Tarot. This is lust. This is arguments. This is fiery passion. This is the on and off relationship. It's also one that I throw on the floor very regularly because it's very slippy. It's very slippy, like a slippery relationship where you're in and out of it all the time. This is the second edition, edged in silver. And it's made it to that card. That Queen of Swords is rather incredible. Oh my gosh, can you tell I've set my camera up at a different angle, but I keep bumping the stands. You're going to have to forgive me and I apologise. So the artwork in this is glorious. Just for the artwork alone, this is what is the on. It's full of fire. It's full of depth. It makes me want to study. It's very deep. It takes me to places where shadows reside, and because of that, it's also my off deck. I have to be in the right mood. It isn't a deck you can pull out and flippantly use. Well, it isn't for me anyway. It's requiring study. It's requiring work. It's requiring work with each reading for me as well, because it takes me to places I wasn't expecting, which then shoves me down rabbit holes. This deck is a rabbit hole deck, and sometimes you just haven't got the energy for a rabbit hole deck, which is why it's my on and off deck. It's why it's my deck of passion, because it takes me to deep places. But it also is the deck that I have to put away to rest and recover from. We'll never break up. This is a spectacular deck. We will never ever break up. But sometimes we do need a break from each other. So for that reason, the Mary L. Tarot, which I just nearly dropped on the floor again, is my on and off relationship deck. Right, let's have a think now. Do we have a friends with benefits deck? So the deck that comes round once in a blue moon. No commitment to working with it very often. No commitment to say I will work with you all the time. But when it does turn up, there's no effort to reacquaint. It's always great fun. It's always nice to meet up. And that's my moon oracle. This is by Caroline Smith and John Astrop. And I use this oracle when I feel like the moon's calling me, when it's a full moon, a new moon. It turns up, and it's not one that you would use every day. It just turns up when it's needed, and it always gives me fantastic readings. It's always bang on point. It's so accurate. I love the artwork in this. I really do. I think she's done another deck. The artist that did the artwork for this, I forget which one it is, but I know I've been sorely tempted just because I like her style of artwork. Yeah, and every time I pulled this deck out, whenever I've just felt the need for a moon reading, or when the moon cycle is called, or like the other day, I woke up completely out of sorts, and I thought to myself, what the hell is wrong with me? And the card's out actually, because it was literally the other day, and I thought, where's the moon at? Because I'm feeling really weird. And it was a balsamic moon in Scorpio, which is this one. It's the waning water moon. And the book literally clarified how I was feeling and why I was feeling it. It's also got Moon Mansion cards. There's a brilliant 7-card reading in the book that comes with it. The book is brilliant, by the way, which I always use the 7-card reading that's in the book, and it's always brilliant because a lot of people see this deck and don't know how to use it. But if you use the spreads in the book, it's really, really useful to pull out this deck when you feel the pull of the moon. There are goddesses. I don't tend to work with goddess decks because I don't want to pay off the Morrigan, because that's not ever wise. But because this is linked to the moon, I've never felt bad about using these goddess cards. And Venus has got a swan, so. And the charts in the back, the moon tables, are so useful, even if you're not using the deck. I can just pull this deck out and use it for whatever I need, which is why it's a Friends with Benefits deck. So we are in December 2020, so it gives you all the dates and all the astrological correspondences, the star sign correspondences and the element correspondences for all the important moon dates in December 2020. And these moon tables go all the way up to 2032, so really useful, and one I call on whenever I have a need, which is why it's my Friends with Benefits deck. So that's it, guys. That's my Dating the Tarot 2020. The decks that aren't going to make it onto those other favourite lists, the decks, they're the underdogs of the year, the decks that have got left on the shelf after you've sorted all your favourites out. I am championing the underdog today. I am declaring that the underdog decks also are important and wonderful. They are there for a reason, even though they might not make it onto those other lists. Within the underdog decks are some probably very important decks in your collection. They're the decks that you brought just because you couldn't help yourself. They're the decks that you brought because you're impulsive and you love tarot. And I also want to know what the love of your life is. Your Forever Date deck. Okay, guys, please do join in. I am making a tag out of this called Dating the Tarot 2020. Tell me all about your decks that didn't make the other lists. Tell me why you haven't broken up with them yet, even though they didn't make those lists. I want to know who you dated on darker days in 2020. Thanks, guys, and I'll see you next time.